Well, you guys voted for it, so here it is, the carrot and stick segment of my Better Call Saul Season 6 video. As of writing this, I'm almost an hour into the entire Season 6 video, and I'm currently working on Episode 5, Black and Blue. I'm really proud of what I've cooked up so far, and I know I've said that like 18 times already, but I don't care. I'm really excited to finish up this video for you guys. I'm planning on finishing and releasing it by June 21st, but I'll notify you guys if I get it done early or if I have to delay it for the 500th time. Thank you all very much for your patience, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Season 6, Episode 2, Carrot and Stick. The episode kicks off in Nacho's disgusting house as his crackhead gamer girlfriend plays with dominoes. Mike and the boys bust down the door and inform the girls that Nacho's gone, and that they'll have to move out of the house. He tells the two to take the money and go as far away as they can, and never come back. After they leave, Mike and the boys search around the house for any important belongings that Nacho might have left behind, and they eventually bust open his safe and take whatever's inside, including the fake IDs Nacho made for him and his dad, which makes Mike go boo-hoo-hoo. He puts Nacho's fake ID inside, but keeps his dad's ID to himself, which will be explained in a few minutes. Victor delivers a duplicate safe, where Mike puts the money, Nacho's fake ID, and an envelope inside. Meanwhile, Jimmy practices a fake monologue for Cliff Main as part of their ultimate scheme to ruin Howard's reputation piece by piece. The first phase of Jimmy and Kim's plan involves leaving bits and clues all over the place to make Howard seem like a crazy coke addict. The first clue, as we saw earlier, was the teeth of fake cocaine that Jimmy left in Howard's locker. And the second clue that they're currently trying to cook up involves hiring a client to testify that Howard is acting suspiciously. Kim tells Jimmy that they need a client who has enough experience with Howard to make the story sound believable. And unfortunately for Jimmy, Kim just came up with a perfect idea.
Oh. What? You are going to hate this.
Tyra shows Gus all of the evidence the police collected at Lalo's house, and Gus calls up Juan Bolsa, telling him that he's come up with another idea to keep the peace. Jimmy drives over to the business that Kim's clients now work at, and notices a giant inflatable Statue of Liberty, which looks weirdly familiar to the one that he has all throughout Breaking Bad. I wonder why. Anyways, Jimmy walks into the building, which, surprise, belongs to the Kettlemans, the couple that embezzled over $1 million in cash from the government back in Season 1. As a result of them losing the lawsuit, they now run a tax preparation service out in the middle of nowhere. And when Jimmy walks into the building, Betsy is not fucking having it. She tells Saul to get out of the building like she's having flashbacks to the Vietnam War, and proclaims that if he doesn't, he'll have her husband Craig physically remove him from the store. Well, considering that Craig just served a really long jail sentence, something tells me that he might have toughened up a bit, so Saul, you might want to get a move on.
Mr. McGill!
Never mind. Betsy demands to have a private chat with Saul, and angrily pushes him out of the building, ranting about how he ruined their lives, but Saul ignores them and pitches the idea that could get them exonerated. However, he tells them to sign a contract before he does, and while Betsy and Cuckold initially deny it, they eventually give in, and they sign it right on Saul's back. Saul proclaims to the two that the reason Cuckold Craig wasn't given proper counsel was because Howard was coked up the entire time, and that they may have potentially lost their case because of him. They ask Saul if there's any proof of this, but Saul tells the two that things like these always come out in discovery, and says that they should get started on their affidavits. However, Betsy tells Saul that they don't need him as their lawyer to use this information, and she blueballs Saul on the spot by firing him. Nacho is getting really tired of jerking off in his hotel room, and as he angrily paces around the place, he hears a knock and footsteps out his door, which turn out to just be the lady delivering his food. However, as he looks out the window, he spots a suspicious looking man also pacing around the place, who Nacho assumes to be spying on him. He watches the man head into a vandalized building, which Nacho assumes to be his hideout. Cliff Main is busy playing Guitar Hero as an annoying intern lady walks into the office, telling Cliff that Craig, always up for a peg Kettleman, is here for a rematch, and that they want to sue Howard Hamlin for improper counsel because they think he used... Wait, sorry, what was it again?
Cocaine.
Oh yeah, thank you. The Kettlemans prove that they're both really fucking stupid, as they avoid saying that they heard that Howard was coked up, and instead make the argument that they knew it this whole time, with absolutely no proof.
Did you have any evidence to support this?
Well, it will all come out in discovery.
Betsy and Cuck Craig are gung-ho about creating their affidavits, but Cliff Main tells the two that Davis and Main are partnered with HHM, so it would be a conflict of interest if they move forward. Betsy asks if they can change their mind now that they know the facts, but Cliff Main tells them to suck his dick and get out. Cliff Main initially thinks that the two are weirdos, but as he gets back to playing Guitar Hero, he has a moment of introspection before the show sexily transitions over to Gus in the retirement home. He meets with Juan Bolsa to talk to Hector, who both attempt to make amends with Hector by giving their condolences and promising that they'll will avenge Lalo's death for him by capturing Nacho. Hector reaches out to shake Gus's hand, but as he does, Gus notices a strange, disingenuous look in his eye, eerily similar to the one that he gave Gus right before blowing him up back in Breaking Bad.
What did you learn?
Lalo Salamanca lives.
I love how that look recontextualizes the season 4 finale, because it means that when Hector gave Gus that look right before he got injected, Gus didn't think, oh wow, he's actually looking me in the eye. He was probably more like, oh shit, something is really, really wrong here. And there was. Juan Bolsa and his men break into Nacho's house and Saul open the duplicate safe from earlier. And Bolsa opens up the envelope, which contains the details of Nacho's offshore bank account, as well as the phone number of the motel that Nacho is staying at.
¿Cómo le puedo ayudar?
Disculpe, número equivocado.
The whole reason why Mike had to switch the safes was because he was forced by Gus to rat Nacho out to the Salamancas in a way that Gus wouldn't be suspected or implicated. Mike knew that he was dicking Nacho over, but to make up for it, he kept Nacho's promise to make sure that his father was safe by keeping his father's fake ID so that he wouldn't get involved in any way. What a nice guy. Nacho nervously stares out the window, and when he opens his door slightly, he notices movement in the vandalized hideout from earlier. Nacho grabs his food, and he realizes that he got chicken instead of beef tacos, so he throws his tray across the room in anger. Nacho realizes that his cover might be blown after that brief chicken meltdown, and since he's already sick of waiting around in the motel, he decides to take some action against this spy. So he knocks the piss out of this air conditioning unit and jumps out of the motel. Oh god, it happened to me too! As it turns out, Nacho's instincts turned out to be correct, as a dude with an extremely sweaty back was spying on Nacho the entire time. As sweaty back guy stares out a crevice in the window, Nacho struts in like a drag queen with a gun in his hand. Nacho forces sweaty back guy to hand over his gun, and interrogates him, asking why he was spying on Nacho, to which sweaty back guy responds that an unknown voice on his phone told him to. While he swears that he wasn't there to kill Nacho, Nacho calls up Tyrus and puts on a super nervous voice, telling Tyrus that he's gonna go fuck shit up. As Nacho hangs up his phone, Sweaty Back Guy gets a call on his phone, confirming Sweaty Back Guy to be a big-ass liar. Sweaty Back Guy begs Nacho not to shoot him, and Nacho says okay and knocks him unconscious instead. Nacho rushes the fuck out of there and heads into a truck, attempting to flee the scene. However, as he does so, the Salamanca team rushes to the scene, and attempts to corner Nacho in the motel while Nacho nervously ducks down in the truck, gun in each hand. Michael Mando's acting is absolutely insane in this scene. It literally looks like pure adrenaline is rushing through his entire body as an ocean of sweat just douses his entire face. As the twins and the rest of the men break into every room in the motel, Nacho spots one of the men holding the motel's owner at gunpoint, and pumps his ass full of lead. Damn, maybe Nacho is good at first-person shooters. As another one of the men attempt to take Nacho down, one of the twins murders them as they both walk in sync with each other as Nacho tries to rev up the truck, which ends up working as he plows the thing in reverse. The twins continue their stupid walk cycle over to the scene as Nacho prepares to run the two the fuck over, gun in hand. Nope, I was wrong. He still sucks. As Jimmy picks out a shitty suit to wear tomorrow, he gets a call from the Kettlemans, who desperately set up a meeting with Jimmy. Jimmy grabs some more money out of the duffel bag and puts it in his pocket for later, calling it a carrot on a stick. Jimmy says that he'll go solo to meet the Kettlemans, but Kim decides to tag along as well because it'd be funny. Tyrus tells Gus that Nacho got away from the scene, and that the Salamancas as well as the police are currently trying to track him down. Tyrus also tells Gus that Lalo is still missing, but Mike interjects, claiming that if Lalo wasn't dead, he would have found Gus by now, or Gus's men would have found him. He claims that, if Lalo is still alive, he'd be searching for Nacho, and that Nacho is likely gonna get caught or killed sooner or later. None of this reasoning calms Gus down, as he proceeds to make a massive whoopsie-daisy by knocking over a glass cup. I'm sure that's not important. Gus cleans up this career-ruining mistake as Mike continues on, telling Gus that they should send a few guys down the border to track Nacho down. But Gus tells Mike to bring down Nacho's father as he throws away the glass shards. For the first time in fucking ever, Mike puts his foot down, telling Gus that ain't happening. And Tyrus rudely puts a gun in Mike's face.
Just say the word.
Whatever happens next, it's not gonna go down the way you think it is.
Mike gets a call from Nacho, who tells Mike that he wants to speak with Gus. Saul brings Kim over to the Kettleman's office, and Betsy politely greets Saul by chewing him out in front of her, telling Saul that there was no legitimate Howard might be a coke addict case, as they visited with several different lawyers just to be rejected again and again. They accuse Jimmy of using them as a pawn in some sort of twisted scheme to assassinate Howard Hamlin's character, which is like, damn, that's spot on. Like, considering how stupid they were to try and take the case themselves, this is a weirdly really accurate conclusion that they drew to. Huh. Bravo, Vince. Anyway, Saul goes, well, you see, as he tries to defend himself, and attempts to use that carrot and stick from earlier, which the Kettlemans reject. They attempt to blackmail Saul into exonerating Craig, the submissive Kettleman, by threatening to report Saul's scheme to Howard Hamlin himself. As Betsy is about to go into an emotional monologue pleading for their old lives back, Kim uncaringly decides to go full throttle on the couple. She dials the IRS, and redirects the blackmail threats over to the Kettlemans, claiming to the IRS that she's found some rundown mom-and-pop tax prep service out in the middle of nowhere that are committing mass fraud on their customers. As Kim is put on hold, she describes just how fucked the Kettlemans are gonna be, telling them that, while Betsy will only get a few years in prison, Craig's case will be an entirely different story, since he's a repeat offender.
CID Anthony or Apollo speaking.
During this entire scene, Saul nervously paces around the room, avoiding eye contact with anyone as Kim completely destroys the couple. She tells the two to return any money that they stole to their clients, and to completely forget the name Howard Hamlin, or else Kim will return and make them pay the consequences.
I'm keeping my eye on both of you. You think you've lost everything? You have no idea.
Jesus Christ. The ending of season 5 really was no joke. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about Jimmy and Kim's relationship acting as a seesaw, or maybe more accurately, a pendulum, where the moment one person is unsure about a certain scheme, the other person just completely barrels through. It's clear that the two knew about this nuclear option beforehand, as there's a brief moment before Kim calls the IRS where Jimmy tries to intervene, but he still lets it happen, which clearly makes Jimmy sad and uncomfortable as he stares down at the floor the entire time the blackmail threats go down. The schemes beforehand were a lot more fun to watch, but this one was just sad and full of vile, bitter resentment. It's the first time in the series that I think Kim really became a legit villain, as she feels no remorse listening to the Kettleman's pleas for forgiveness and mercy and continues to burn their livelihood to the ground. Like, obviously the Kettlemans aren't in the right either, since they're both still really stupid and continue to scam their customers, but still, Kim went way too far with that number she did on them. It's the first act in the series that Kim commits that I believe is truly evil. Kim, and Jimmy to an extent, are clearly having fun, but at what cost? Kim leans against the car door, satisfied with herself as Jimmy walks out of the office. When Jimmy heads to the car, Kim says something really interesting to him.
You gave him the money, didn't you?
That's fucking cold. She knows that Jimmy feels sympathy for the Kettlemans, but instead of talking Jimmy through his emotions, she simply brushes them off and drives back with Jimmy.
Wolves and sheep.
Huh?
Nothing.
This is a great callback to the advice that the customer gave a young Jimmy McGill back in season 2.
There are wolves and sheep in this world, kid. Figure out which one you're gonna be.
If only that guy knew just how many lives he changed with that single line. Jimmy and Kim drive off, as another car starts up and drives right behind them. This was another fantastic episode. This one had the perfect blend of action, comedy, tension, and sadness. The return of the Kettlemans was such a great addition. And considering the fact that they hadn't played the characters in like 6 or 7 years, the actors for these two did an absolutely incredible job. Especially Betsy, who genuinely made me feel sympathy for her at times, even when she was stupid. Some great scenes in this one, including the shootout with Nacho, the near murder of Mike, and the definite murder of the Kettlemans by Kim. Not gonna lie, I'm feeling another S tier for this one.